If you haven't seen the previous video in this series, follow the link on your screen or click the link in the description or pinned comment below. "26 seconds of advertisements, 14 seconds of logos."
十环的传说已经流传了上千年。
They're reading.
I feel like that's a very Anglo-centric sin, especially because she's speaking the most spoken first language in the world, meaning all those Chinese people watching this wouldn't be reading, but listening.
不论这个故事如何演变，
So much so that you might say it's bordering on ridiculous that no one in this universe has mentioned it before.
That's ridiculous for a variety of reasons, namely the fact that this is a legend in Asia. How many MCU movies have been set in China for any of this to be mentioned? That's like saying it's ridiculous none of the Hindu gods have been mentioned thus far, even though 1.3 billion people know about them. You know where else has about a billion people?
Over the next few minutes, these super circles will create a force field, force push him from his steed, clear a landing spot, pack some power punches, grab a soldier by electricity or some shit, clear a path to the door, and anything else the movie thought would look cool. As opposed to, skipping the 10-ring circus and just doing the door thing, at which point every single soldier shrugs and walks away.
The fact that you don't realize Wenwu doing all those things is the reason they all shrug and walk away is precious. The point of the scene is that the rings make him basically invincible, so they can't do anything to him. It's like if I took an M4 and some grenades to the Middle Ages and just hemmed up all King Charlemagne's knights. Look at me. I'm the king now.
Also, he does some impressive ass beating, but do the 10 ninja donuts not allow him to take on more than one guy at a time?
He says while showing a scene of him taking on more than one guy at a time.
他打造了一支十环军团。
Even though there weren't 10 of them, and what he had were technically bracelets. It's okay. I sometimes call mine the 10 inches for the same reason. I get it.
The 10 rings are simply named after what gives the army their power. That's like getting mad that Bruce Lee is known as the Dragon, even though he's not a goddamn dragon. Also, Jeremy is that one dude that lists his height in centimeters on Hinge.
Not securing your bullion.
But it was secured. That security was simply compromised.
也改写了历史。
Unless you're time traveling, you don't change the course of history. You set the course of history. To change something indicates a given guaranteed alternative. Set the course of history sounds more badass anyway. You do want to be a badass, don't you?
That's one of the worst attempts at a semantics argument I've seen in a while, and I deal with Christians and Muslims on damn near a daily basis. If the operatives of the 10 rings weren't there, history would have gone a different direction. So them setting the course of history is literally them changing the course of history, the history that would have happened had they not intervened.
传说中的神兽和古老的法术还都存在。
Why would gods use martial arts?
Because humans came up with the concept of gods, therefore they do what we do. Why do you think Zeus is a fornicator or that Loki is the god of mischief? It's because we give mythological beings traits of humans, and as humans are an ape species and apes fight with their hands and feet, gods use martial arts.
Okay, fine, mystical, magical, blah, blah, whatever. But trees have freaking roots, man. It's not like the movie is saying this is an illusion. There are real physical consequences here.
How do you understand that magic is in play here and still suggest there are physical consequences? Do you know the meanings of the words you use? Physical means natural. Magic means supernatural. Supernatural means you're a dumbass.
Are these Fallon trees? Because I just don't see how they could stand on their own without the roots. The guy with the supernatural fitness tracker saves himself and only himself. Guess who this movie's villain is?
Everything wrong with Shang-Chi. A villain doesn't save his lackeys.
So it's just traveling by cars they hate?
No, genius. The forest is constantly changing in order to protect the location of Ta Lo. They were caught in the path of the change when they were in the car.
Crouching Disney, a hidden marvel.
Sinning this scene, which is one of the best fight scenes in the entire MCU.
This may be the greatest fight scene in Marvel's history. It has a sense of space, geography, culture, and is downright gorgeous, in addition to the fact it actually tells us something about the characters and story. I didn't think you had it in you, Marvel, but here's your send-off.
But you said Why was that a sin previously?
妈妈的故乡塔罗有一个神龙，它是我们的保护神，它将魔法赋予在了我们每个人的身上。
Martin Brodeur?
Hockey.
Look at that origami! I couldn't make a dragon like that even if I did nothing but study paper folding for the next 30 years.
Just like the Karate Kid video, you're mixing up Asian cultures. Origami is Japanese. This style of paper folding is jaji. I know you think all Asians look alike, but goddamn, these cultures are rich and unique. It would have taken you 5 seconds to figure this out, but you're lazy.
这个给你。
Man, I feel sorry for anyone watching this that doesn't realize she's gonna die soon.
The movie is called Shang-Chi, bub. I don't think anyone went in with any predilection towards the mother, nor any expectations of her surviving. CinemaSins, pointing out shit nobody said since 2012.
Not charging your phone overnight.
This implies that his phone is dead or on low battery, and the scene does not show us one way or another, therefore you can't make a definitive statement. Most modern phones can survive not being plugged in overnight and still last most of the day. So what you're saying is you have an iPhone SE. Step your game up.
I've had it with these motherfucking present day titles in these motherfucking movies. It is not present day, it is a specific day. When the disembodied spirit of Elon Musk Jr.'s AI companion Selectron Alpha is watching this movie in 2396 as the embers of humanity glow in the void of an endless night, it will not still be present day, damn it!
The usage of the phrase present day is meant in the context of the film, not the real world. Pay attention. They've been showing you things that happened in the past, therefore when they fast forward to Sean in the future, they have to state where we are in the timeline. From Sean's perspective, we are no longer remembering the past, but experiencing his present, which is when the movie takes place.
Hot Jesus, San Francisco is the hottest film location since Vancouver. Apes, Ant-Man, even his Endgame appearance, and then the Venom films, then Matrix Resurrections, and this
Everything wrong with Shang-Chi. Other movies were also filmed in San Francisco.
This road.
You know, Lombard Street exists in real life, so you're sending a real thing and suggesting it's a problem with this movie.
I'm driving.
Aquafina is a funny sidekick in a 2021 movie featuring dragons cliche.
Jeremy makes a Raya and the Last Dragon pop culture reference that isn't a sin of the movie cliche.
Please open the door.
It's a pull-up lock and the window's open. I get that we are establishing that Sean is living an easygoing life here, but even he could probably figure out how to get that door open.
Usually when someone says, please, they're being courteous. My point is, it's not that Sean can't open the door, he's giving Katie an opportunity to not make a mistake. I feel like I'm talking to a second grader.
Sean, we've been friends for 10 years.
Exposition via friendly argument.
No one cares. What would have been really funny is pointing out the Asians all drive BMW stereotype. You know, because they produce things like the GTR and the Stinger, but it's always the BMWs that get the shine.
Look, we're now living in a world where at any moment half the population can just disappear.
Blip.
I'm going to agree here. Every f***ing MCU property after Endgame seems contractually obligated to mention the blip, and it's about as annoying as Batman fanboys. Almost.
我在他的坟前放了一瓶白酒，第二天没了。
Being stupid.
CinemaSins calls other people stupid, which would be fine if he weren't the guy that boldly claimed there was no gravity in space.
Why Gung didn't move here from Hunan so you could park cars for a living.
Okay, first of all, moving to San Francisco was a bad idea if you wanted awesome jobs or affordable living arrangements.
Katie's mother is referring to her parents, one who is dead and the other who is clearly very old, meaning they moved to California before San Francisco became what it is today. That didn't happen until the late 90s, and San Fran has a historical Chinatown, which is where these people live. Chinatown was one of the few enclaves in America where Chinese people could live without fear of racism. Most of the time, anyway.
Second of all, parking cars in San Francisco due to the city's notorious cost of living is probably a pretty f***ing good job.
Where are you getting that from? In San Francisco, you can make $30 an hour and still be in poverty. And checking Indeed, most valet work starts around $21 an hour. Now, I know that's king money in Tennessee, where your government is still barely paying workers $12. But here in Cali, she's your average Instagram thought. Broken considering letting rich dudes in Dubai shit on her chest.
After this punch, his bad guy buddies wait through a zoom in, a couple beats of what the f face, and Sean asking Katie if she's okay before they decide to act.
I mean, if I were sent to take out a random dude and that random dude punched a guy so hard he flew back 10 feet, I would also be considering a change of career. You're the dude that gets instantly slept because you think you're Billy Badass. Like this guy.
Come on, get it. Drop it. Oh. I gotta be me. I gotta be me.
Jeremy sings in a video cliche.
I'm not sure who decided to have this bus demolish a bunch of electric scooters, but whoever you are, my friend, you are the true hero. I mean, I still have to send the electric scooters for existing, but I wanted you to know how much I appreciate you first.
Jeremy sends something he likes cliche.
There's plenty of Sean survives this happening right now, but the bigger question is, why is this guy trying to slice him in half and make him not survive this when the orders were just to get the pendant?
Because the order was just to get the pendant. As the Mandarin demonstrates later, he is not concerned with his son's well-being and is being manipulated by not Fin Fang Foom.
From sunup to sundown, I was taught every possible way to kill a man.
Did you at least get a lunch break? Also, this is not being taught how to kill a man. This is having the beat out of you.
You know, men are very strong, right? Meaning, of course, in order to kill a dude, you have to be able to withstand his attacks in order to get yours in. This is as much mental training as it is physical. Training the body as well as the mind are like the main tenets of Kung Fu.
Movie is about to insinuate that Jia Ling is going to teach herself how to become an expert poke-on-a-rope killer. But you can't just download this information into your head. This isn't a modern-day Matrix sequel. You can tell because the action scenes are actually good.
I appreciate the Matrix 4 dig, but the other stuff you said was sinful for two reasons. First sin I'm giving you is for that horrific pronunciation of Xia Ling that you pronounced with a J. Second sin is for misleading your audience, pretending as if she wasn't watching Sean being trained with this weapon.
Sure, he's beating up 10 guys at once, but he's no Ip Man.
Please, Shang-Chi is the greatest martial artist in Marvel Comics. He'd laugh at Ip Man.
It's Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
No, Shang-Chi.
This Shang's on for some time.
Considering you can't pronounce Chinese worth a damn, you should probably be taking notes.
You change your name from Shang to Sean?
As much as I hate to say this, I have to agree with Aquafina here. That is a lazy-ass name change.
Which is what the movie is explicitly saying. So how are you faulting the movie for this again?
Is that guy an extremist patient soldier? I understand Easter eggs and brand cohesion, but I did not understand wanting to associate your movie with Iron Man 3.
It's almost like the MCU is a shared universe, and that Iron Man 3 and 1 contain references to the 10 Rings and the Mandarin, elements that are explained in this movie, or something.
That hurt, Emil. You want me to show you how it feels?
Isn't this the villain Tim Roth played in The Incredible Hulk? On one hand, these cameos can give fun fan service to the observant, but for most of us, they just ring hollow and cheap, since we aren't cataloging every single Marvel character in our brains. I don't even remember this creature's name, so now I'm not sure if this cameo is a welcome addition or an outright abomination.
Well, yeah, if you're one of those recent edgelords pretending to hate everything Marvel, for the rest of us, we were happy to see the abomination after 13 years. All Marvel is doing is showing this universe is living and breathing, something we can't say for the DCEU, unfortunately. Also, I would have hit you with a... Wait, what was that? For that garbled attempt at Marvel character, but it's 3:11 a.m., and I'm too tired to look up a funny video to make fun of you. I'm running on Tostitos and salsa. Give me a break.
Also, no one will be seated during the Real Steel portion of the film.
It's almost like the name Real Steel would have been a clue that this isn't like that movie at all, but you're you.
You know what he said to me when he left? I'll be back in 3 days.
Is this a Jesus callback? I'm tired of all these Marvel Easter eggs.
I built this place on my own.
Okay, sure, but it's an underground Fight Club casino, so don't flex too hard.
That's cute, coming from the guy that touts his YouTube subscriber count at movie producers in an attempt at legitimacy when, despite your 9 million subscribers, you've barely cracked 1 million views thrice in the past 3 months, and 2 of those were compilation videos that don't count. If anyone shouldn't be flexing here, it's you.
On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair.
Thinking the Eagles will miraculously save you. What movie do you think you're in, Lord of the Rings?
Didn't it work, though? Oh, this is one of those I want to prove I know the song moments, wasn't it? Here's your cookie.
I told my men they wouldn't be able to kill you if they tried. Glad I was right. 我太想你了.
Cool. F you, daddy slap bracelets.
Jeremy yells at the screen cliche.
My son is home.
Unfortunately, he's wearing a hoodie, and he has a girlfriend with neon pants.
Jeremy points out things on the screen cliche.
A funny story.
I'll be the judge of that.
Some years ago, a terrorist from America,
Nope, not laughing.
Neither is your audience.
the Mandarin, he gave his figurehead the name of a chicken dish.
Even more Iron Man 3 connections. If Ty Simpkins shows up here looking for his dad, I will legit add 1,000 cents.
Of course it ties into Iron Man 3. They revealed that Mandarin was a fake in that movie. Being that the Mandarin is a very important character and that the Mandarin's rings are important objects in this universe, it only makes sense for them to address the connection. Didn't you play Guardians of the Galaxy on PS5? How did you miss this section of that game? What's being here? Oh, the 10 rings! He has the 10 rings! Alright, so Listen, a lot of this is going to contradict MCU stuff, okay? Because the MCU, the 10 rings are like bracelets that go over like your arm. But in the comics, the 10 rings are actually on your fingers. It is said that each contains the soul of a legendary warrior and each has a unique power. The real fun comes in combinations. Darkness and extreme cold, or fire and blinding light. Perhaps a lightning-filled vortex. Disintegrate a foe while controlling their mind.
I threw myself back into the studies of her village, the legendary Talo.
They called it that because they thought Talo Kanda might be a little bit too on the nose.
What the fuck does that even mean? If I didn't know any better, I'd say you were othering black and Chinese-centered films because you didn't make a portmanteau out of the white movies that featured fictional places like Doctor Strange or Thor. For a dude that constantly yells, "That's racist," you sure do move like one.
Your mother wanted us to live in Talo. She asked permission from the elders and they refused. They said I wasn't worthy.
They were correct.
Still yelling at the screen, cliche.
To get through, you need to know the route and the exact time it opens. Now I know both.
How? I mean, I saw a path there, and the movie seems to indicate you somehow know the day, but even so, if those dragon eyes are a one-time use, were you even paying attention enough to memorize all that? I've played Myst, man! Map ain't easy!
If given the choice between a 1,000-year-old immortal with centuries of experience in battles and planning, and a YouTuber that barely watches movies on the level of a 4-year-old, I'm going with Wenwu. I mean, he's only been obsessed with this, so I'm sure he was paying attention, Jer.
But then that dragon vomited a magical water map, and now I have no idea what's real.
Right, because the blip, and the fight with Thanos that flipped the blip, and the countless other strange things you've seen, including literal sorcerers, couldn't have prepared you for such a crazy experience. You can't have it both ways, Marvel.
This is a blatant scene manipulation. You started her line in the middle of her point explicitly to remove that line from its context. What she was saying was that Sean's father seemed delusional, but then she saw proof of what he was saying, and now she doesn't know what to believe. You are a liar.
Pretty confused right now because initially I thought your dad should definitely see a therapist for his delusions, but then that dragon vomited a magical water map, and now I have no idea what's real. Is what he said about your mom's village true?
About Mom being locked behind a gate by her own people?
Crazier things have turned out to be true.
Like that actor in the paper towel roll and the hamster?
You're sitting the movie for literally making the same point you were previously. You can't make this shit up.
Trevor, you fucking scamp!
Still yelling at the screen.
Trevor says he was imprisoned after Iron Man 3's events, but that Shang-Chi's dad broke him out to kill him. Now, I understand Trevor was playing the Mandarin, a fictionalized version of a real-life ancient crime lord, but why would that crime lord feel threatened in the least by Trevor? Why kill him? Especially if you just let him live after he entertains your men with Shakespeare. This whole explanation makes no sense at all.
The last part of that sin is actually what happened. They didn't kill him because he entertained his men with Shakespeare. You can't ask, why kill him if they didn't? But the reason they were going to kill him is because it's an ancient rule of all gangs. Don't claim the set if you're not from there. Doing that potentially harms someone's reputation, and that is a death sentence.
He says he grew up with your mum in Tarlo.
Am I even watching right now? It was a relatively straightforward magical kung fu movie for nearly an hour, and now suddenly I'm in a goddamn Pixar short.
Sinning Morris. That's worth these many sins.
Is the Force working with them or against them? Because it apparently knows all about drifting and can adapt perfectly to these turns. Probably learned it from the Fast and Furious Okio Drift.
Earlier, the film established that Katie was an excellent driver and is a big fan of motorsport racing, and most of the scene that you cut out explains that Morris knows the path to Talo. So, what's actually happening here is you haven't been paying attention. Surprise, surprise.
This car just ran a spontaneous road course through a magical changing bamboo forest, and it has 0 body damage.
Well, yeah, if you don't get hit by anything, there won't be any damage. But I guess that mirror is less than 0, huh?
Peacock Fox. Peafox? Foxcock?
This is a fox spirit known as Hulijing in Chinese, the Kitsune in Japanese, and Gumiho in Korean. They are very common in Asian legends, and there is even a Pokemon based on one. What I'm saying is, Jeremy doesn't know shit about Asian mythology.
I know we're going for a Jurassic Park awe-inspiring moment here, but I just can't shake a strange desire to catch them all.
Interesting, you went with a Pokemon reference here, but didn't recognize Alolan Ninetales a second ago. I mean, you went with Fox Peacock.
A herd of buckbeaks!
Yeah, except Buckbeak had wings. Clown.
我是你们的小姨，
Yingnan.
And even though the whole city was gathered here in defense, I waited in the background to announce myself at a key moment because I'm important.
Or she was busy doing her daily routine like the other people here. That definitely means this wasn't the whole city.
The realm of Ta Lo stretches far beyond the shores of our small village.
It's almost impressive how much heavy story work this movie manages to do by using real-life narration and murals of exposition. But even 60% creative exposition, it's still 60% exposition.
And in the 10 years your channel has been a thing, you still have yet to explain why exposition is bad. Exposition is necessary in the vast majority of movies, and you yourself even ask for it in every other video, so you're just saying words that have no meaning right now.
She knew that one day you would find your way here and asked me to prepare something for your arrival.
She left them super suits? She's their mother and their Edna Mode?
Yeah, she left them suits, just like every other warrior here.
You're the saddest bunch I've ever met, but you can bet before we're through, Mister, I'll make a man out of you.
Jeremy butchers a classic.
Mama.
If this was animated, I'd have already tagged it with a Disney protagonist is motivated by a dead parent cliche. But there's also a superhero who has a dead parent cliche. Can no one have a living parent?
I'm going to ignore the easy joke about the subtitles grammar, but I'll point out that he does have a living parent. This guy.
Did he just block rifle rounds by moving the loot loops in front of them? Did they give him special powers of speed and agility as well?
Yes.
I hate how every piece of equipment just eventually acts like magic whenever it's needed.
But that's too bad because they are magic. This man sees 10 floating rings doing impossible shit the entire movie and doesn't put together that they're supernatural.
We will rebuild the 10 Rings to what it once was.
It seems weird to me that his evil organization is named after the wrist anklets he wears. This would be like King Arthur naming his army the Excaliburs.
Unlike your channel, that was actually a good idea.
What is this, batting practice? Why is he launching the Halo Infinites one at a time instead of, I don't know, doing anything else?
I think it's telling that just 2 sins ago you were complaining about the movie devolving into melee fighting.
Despite having the golden sphincters of ultimate power on his arms, he has his henchmen engaged in some fisticuffs.
But when the Mandarin uses the rings as projectiles, you're still complaining. You're like a prostitute. Impossible to satisfy.
I get it now, he's Khaleesi.
Jeremy makes a pop culture reference.
And just like that, our main fighters both have 5 of the rings and now have completed the full transition to same versus same. I swear it's oxygen to Marvel writers. They can go only so long without breathing the sweet, sweet air of equally powered combatants.
It's amazing to me that you don't see the problem with what you're suggesting. Why would anyone watch unequal combatants? Seriously, there is nothing compelling about Superman beating the shit out of the Red Hood because it's a clear mismatch. That's why there are weight classes in real life fighting and why nobody considers Kevin Durant's rings legitimate. Fairness.
Deus Luck Dragona.
Another misuse of Deus Ex Machina. It's especially egregious considering Shang-Chi later shows that he could hurt the Dweller in Darkness with these rings.
I love how everything is going well until they drop a few more convenient souls into his system for an immediate upgrade. How intense are those soul hits? This how to cocaine your dragon nonsense is all of the dumb.
They explained and showed that these creatures are soul eaters. What happens when you eat food, Jeremy?
Like 10% of this movie is Awkwafina staring at something in shock or surprise.
Well, it's better than her trying to rap.
Bruce Banner and Captain Marvel hologram it in when either could easily be there in person in a matter of minutes.
What does that mean, they could be there in person in a matter of minutes? Besides the fact that Danvers is obviously busy, and the same could presumably be said about Bruce, why would they want or even need to be there when they have these devices? What?
You can get my number from Bruce.
Yeah, I don't have her number.
If none of the Avengers have each other's phone numbers, how do you all arrange hologram meetups like the one we just saw?
Is that really a question? The devices they're communicating on, genius. Wong contacted them on these sci-fi beepers. Oh, I forgot Gen Z sometimes watches these videos. When a mommy and daddy wanted to communicate with each other in the 90s...
We're